Guys, this is Bismarck and welcome back to another session on Rxjava operators. As last time we covered we started with zip operator as part of the combining operators in Rxjava. In this tutorial we'll be looking at CombineLatest operator. So first of all, before we begin, let's try to understand what CombineLatest operator means in Rxjava. Okay, so for instance, you have two or more observables and they are mating and you want to combine their latest emission, and this is what I mean. Okay, let me go into the using the marble RS marble to showcase this scenario or example. Now this is our marble for the combined latest. So what you can see is on the first line, this is representing our first observable, and the second line is also representing the second observable. As we can see here we have a 1a. What is mean it means is now the first observable will emit an item. As it emits an item, it checks to see if there's already an item emitted by the second observable. If there's no item, it waits. It waits for the second observable to emit an item. Here, one was emitted, then A got emitted from the second observable. Then they were combined because they are regarded as the latest observable of each of the observable sources. Then it emitted as 1A. Now 2 got emitted from the first observable, and when it got emitted, there wasn't another item emitted from the second observable. So meaning that A was still the latest item. In that case, 2 combines with A and it gets emitted. After that, second observable emitted B. At the time the B was emitted, the first observable hasn't emitted any item yet, meaning that it leaves 2 as the latest item emitted. Then the B combines with 2. Now we get 2B. Then again, it took some time for the second observable to emit C. As it emits C, it checks from the first observable to see if there's any item emitted, and it goes to see that 2 is still the latest item emitted by the first observable. Now it combines with 2 to get 2C. Then again, D was emitted from the second observable. As D got emitted from the second observable, the latest item which was being emitted was 2, the item 2, and has to emit the item 2. Now 2 combined with D to get 2D, and later on 3 was emitted from the first observable, then combined with the later, which is D, and so forth. Then we could see that after 3, the second observable didn't emit again. Now 4 will combine with D, then 5 emit and it combine with D again, as you can see them from here. So this is the meaning of CombineLatest. And as I said, this is just a function. The combination is gotten from a function applied to these observables, or applied through the function through the operator CombineLatest operator. That will do the work for you. Here we could see the function does nothing but concatenating the values or the items emitted from each of the observable source. Okay, since this is fine, let's see if we can play around this. For example, what will happen if after 1 got emitted and it came with A, 2 didn't emit, then 2 waited for some time until B was emitted before the 2 was emitted. So in this case, 1 will combine with A and gets emitted. Then 1 will combine with B and gets emitted again. After that, 2 will start emitting, then it comes with B. Okay, but if you could realize when B was here, you see that B was the one combining with 2 was the one combining with B. But as we push or we slide off 2 forward, you see that the latest observable when B got emitted wasn't 2 anymore, it was 1. And now things has changed. So I think with the marble, it's very fun and interesting when we are playing around with the marble to see the behavior. Okay, so let's go back to the code and see how this works actually. Now we have our function here, CombineLatest observe operator. We are trying to use an interval observable or interval operator to give us an item which is being emitted after an interval. So the interval we are specifying is 1000 milliseconds, and 1000 milliseconds is the same as 1 second. Then we just take only 3 emission. Okay, I have covered take interval take operator, interval operator in my previous tutorials. If you are a beginner or you seem not to understand take and interval operator, please go back and check my video on it and you will understand. So now we have this. So what is going to happen is after 1 second, we could realize that we will see that this observable will emit 1, or better still, it will emit 0, 1, 2, 3 in that order, but then it will take just 3 counts. And our second observable, which is this, let me try to rename it better. Second observable. So with the second observable, what's going to happen is it's going to emit an array. Okay, these are items that's going to be emitted from our second observable source. But as I said, for us to see the actual combination, we have to also delay. So I'm trying to delay each emission from the second observable source at an interval of 1 second, as we can see from the first observable. So if we are to run this, let me collect our subscription, or let me collect our subscription. Okay, so when we run this, what we could see is that this is based on environment, but we could see there will be a multiple combination. Let's try to run this and see what we get. Okay, so we could see 0 got emitted. Okay, fine. So as I said, I'm just taking only three items from the at an interval of 1 second. So in that case, 0, 1, 2, these are the 3 items. And as we can see, 0 got emitted, and as 0 got emitted, 32 also got emitted. Now, after that, 1 got emitted from the first observable. When 1 got emitted, 32 was still the latest item emitted from the second observable. As a result, it combined with 1 and it came. After that, 43 got emitted from the second observable, and we could see that 1 was the latest. 1 was still the latest, and it combined with 43. Then 2 got emitted, and 43 was the latest. 2 got emitted again. 4 was the 4 got emitted, and 2 was still the latest, and so on and so forth, as we can see. And this is our function. We are doing nothing but combining, just concatenating the emissions from these observable sources with a dash. Okay, so this is just our function, and this is just for tutorial purpose. so that we could see the behavior that will benefit, that will help us actually in we can how best we can uh get the understanding so that we can use this in our business logic. So this is all about CombineLatest. So what can we get? For example, as I was saying this, let's say I'm just emitting the 32, 43 up to 43, okay, without delaying them. Let's check this example and see what we are going to get. Without delaying them, it's going to work perfectly without any error. But what we will see that at any point in time, this emission will be very fast. It will be very fast, and as a result, let's run and let's see the result ourselves so that we can understand. Okay, so we see the first item is being delayed because it is being emitted at an interval of 1 second, and once it is still waiting for 1 second, the second observable source has started emitting. So for example, 0 got emitted, and at an interval of 1 second, 43 has already emitted, and before one was also emitted from the first observable at interval of 1 second, and 43 was still the last. Okay, this item was still the last. I mean the latest item. So it will be combining with this, and this is what is happening. You see, as I said, based on the environment and the machine. Mostly, if you are to run only this observable, we could realize that this observable is being emitted in 1 second. Like less than 1 second, this item will finish emitting. So if at the interval of 1 second, we are allowing this at interval of 1 second, then what we are going to see is that before it will wait, the gap, I mean the 1 second gap from the first item to the second item, by that time, the second observable has already emitted this item, and the last item will be the latest. So that's the reason why always you are going to get 0.43. Okay, so let's see with different combination. What if we decide to emit the first item at an interval of 1 millisecond? Let's try this. At an interval of 1 millisecond, still this was too fast. The second observable was too fast and still got emitted before. So I think we could use, if you want to check this behavior, let's try to use microsecond, and let's see if the combination will be clear. So guys, this doesn't matter. So all that matters is I mean getting the idea and how it works. So this actually does not matter. So we can still go back to our second, let's say our second, and we can still delay. Let's go back to, so we can still delay our, we can still delay. Okay, we delay with the observable. So as I was saying, so this is nothing but, so let's use 1 second, 1 seconds, and new by function. Okay, so we just return the integer. Okay, so as I said, we just get the understanding. The understanding with the CombineLatest is nothing but always a check to see, the latest. So it doesn't really wait for, like, it doesn't really wait in time for each operator to get a meeting uh before the actual result will be emitted. No, or the function will be applied. No, it doesn't do that. That is done with zip operator. But with the combine latest, always when, let's say, the first observable emit an item, when it emits an item, it will just be available with any item which is the latest of the second observable and gets emitted. The function will be applied to it and it will be emitted. Then again, even if the second observable emits, let's say, 3 times or 4 times before the first observable, it will still emit. But the difference, then again, there's a difference between the zip operator and the combine latest operator. With the zip operator, what it will do is, let's say, the first observable will emit. When the first observable emits, this is our first observable. I mean, let me rename this. Okay, so this is the first observable. I mean, with the zip, if you haven't taken a look at my zip tutorials, with the zip, when the first observable emits an item, it will wait for the second observable to also emit before before the function will be applied to it. Then it will be emitted. The result will be emitted. Then again, when the first observable emits, it will also wait for the second observable to also emit. But with the combine latest, it is regardless being the first observable emitting or the second observable emitting, any of them, when they emit, they will be combined with the latest of the other. Then the results will be emitted, guys. So thank you very much for staying up with me, and this is all about the combine latest operator. So if this if you couldn't understand this very well, please, you can comment on the video for where the confusion lies, and I will be glad to clarify within my power. Thank you for staying up with me, and if you haven't subscribed to this tutorial, please do by clicking on the red button icon below the video and clicking on the bell icon, so that whenever the tutorial is being released, you will get it in time and take a watch. Thank you for staying up with me once again, and have a happy coding.